All right, shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off first and foremost by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Kadesh. Double honor to the elders and the apostles, a great millstone who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings that are doing this work in truth and in sincerity. This is your brother Nathaniel coming back at you through the Spirit with another lesson, and I pray and hope this lesson is edifying. So we're going into the ordinances of the moon and the sun, and if these ordinances shall ever pass, and Israel shall stop being a people before the Lord. So these ordinances shall never pass. All right. Now, what inspired this lesson is there are a lot of videos going around on social media, TikTok, and I'm gonna play one of them where they're speaking of the moon, and it's a lot of them too. But basically, they're speaking of the moon either disappearing or not being visible at night or certain parts of the night. Okay. And, it made me think of the ordinances of the moon, the new moon, and how the moon is the keeper of time. Okay. And we're going to go into that in the scriptures. All right. Because when it all boils down to it, the final say in all of this is the scriptures. The scriptures are the standard in which all of these other judgments come from. Okay, scriptures talk about how basically he's going to bring, all of the doctrines into captivity. All right, so we're going to start off with Jeremiah 31, and we can go to 35, and it says, "Thus saith the Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name." Verse 36, "If these ordinances depart from me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel shall also cease from being a nation before me forever." All right. So the Lord is saying that, which is an impossible task. If these ordinances would ever depart from the Lord in any manner, then Israel would cease to be a nation. So basically, the Lord is saying here that that's not going to happen. All right, these ordinances are going to stay there. You're going to have the sun for a light by day, and the moon for a light by the night. All right. So now that we have established that the ordinance of the sun and the moon will never pass away. They're going back to what I was saying before about the social media aspect of it. Some people are maybe confusing, I don't know, the new moon cycle for the disappearance of the moon. All right. So we're going to go over that too, and how, the new moon is a measurement of the month. Okay. And the weeks. So I'm going to go ahead and play some of this video. The glasses, dude.
So we're going on day like 11 or 12 here in Texas with or on this side of the country with nobody seeing the moon. So all of you people who are saying the moon's on a cycle or something like that, and this happens, we're going on almost 11 or 12 days seeing no moon on this side of the country, and then now you're seeing major storms happen on the East Coast, back to back to back, historic storms, knowing that the moon, it has a effect on the ocean that many.
All right, so now you see now you see what my man, they're saying that the moon is fading away, it's not there, for whatever reason. All right, so and there are other videos, like
people do not realize. So when we're going on day.
So you can see, there's all type of videos going on about the moon right now.
Y'all, am I tweaking, or why does the moon look like that? It's like, y'all see how the moon look? Ain't no mountains right there or trees, nothing. Why does the moon look like that?
All right. So you get the idea, okay? So let's go into some more precepts real quick. Let's go to the beginning. Let's go to the book of Genesis, the first chapter. Why is this in Chinese? All right. This is Genesis 1:14. It says, "And Yahweh said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years." So the lights in the heavens are measurements of time, as well as heavenly lights that shine upon the earth. "And let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth." And it was so. "And Yahweh, or the powers, made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day, which is the sun, and the lesser light to rule the night, which is the moon. He made the stars also." Okay. "And the powers set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And the powers saw," which that word God is Elohim, which means powers, "saw that it was good." Okay. So now we see the establishment of the sun and the moon in the heavens. All right. So this was the establishment of the two great lights in the heavens and the establishment of times. Okay. Because the Lord said that they were going to be a measurement of times, and we're going to prove that. So we're going to go to we're going to go to KJV. We're going to come back to that 2 Samuel 20 in just a second. But we're going to go to Ecclesiasticus 43. And I'm going to start at verse 5. No, I'm going to start at verse 6. And it says, "He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times." Okay? So the moon is a declaration of time. This is how you keep time. This is how you know the beginning of the month. This is how you know, and we're going to go into that. This is how you know the beginning of the month, when that's supposed to happen, and the ending of the month. This is how you know when the Sabbath, because it's the first day of the month, which is the new moon, and 7 days after that is the Sabbath. The new moon is also a Sabbath. Okay. All right. It says, "For the moon is the sign of feast, a light decreasing in her perfection." And this goes into the waxing and the waning of the moon. Okay, this is the moon that waxes, you see the light, okay, from the moon, and wanes when you see the darkness coming upon the moon, ultimately leading into the new moon. And it says the month, you see that? This is where we get the word month from moon. The month is called after her. You see that? So now we know that the new moon is the keeper of times. Every new month starts with a new moon. Okay? And we're gonna prove that too. "Increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven." You see that? And those armies above is speaking of the stars. Okay? And it says, "At the commandment of the Holy One, they stand in their order and never faint in their watches." So this goes into what I was saying, how the ordinances of the sun and the moon shall never pass away. They will never faint in their watches. They will always be there. Okay? You're going to have the sun and the moon, because the Lord said if they ever pass away, then Israel will cease from being the people in their sight. So now we know that the Lord said that they will never faint in their watches, which means that they will always be there. Okay? So I'm going to read that again for those that don't want to believe that the moon is the keeper of times. This is Ecclesiasticus 43:6, and it says, "He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world." Okay, this is the timekeeper. For the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreases in her perfection, the waxing and the waning of the moon. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven. Okay, the armies are the stars, and the moon shining in the firmament of heaven. All right, the beauty of heaven, the glory of the stars, and the ornament giving light in the highest places of the Lord. You see that? All right. So we know that the moon. So now we know that the moon is the keeper of time. All right, and the moon is the beginning of the month. The month is modeled after the moon. Now we can go to the Etam online, right? You know that month, okay, and it says month, one of the 12 parts of the year, 1/12 parts into which the calendar year is arbitrarily divided. Old English from the petro-evening, petro-dramatic, minoth, and it says source also derived from Old Saxon manoth, or Old Frisian manoth, Middle Dutch mantle, Dutch maanda, Old High German manod, German monat, Old Norse man-aor, Gothic minos, however you say that, month, which is related to mino, moon, see moon. The original month was the interval between one new moon and the next. You see that? So that's where the word month comes from. It comes from one new moon to the next. And the new moon is the dark moon, not the full moon. Okay? Now, and then, you know, if you want to dig even further than that, you can get the etymology of week, because from the first day of the new moon to the 15th day, you have the month waxing, waning. I'm sorry, you have it waxing, right? And around the 14th to the 15th day of the month, that's when you get the full moon, okay? And the word week actually goes into transition, okay? So when you go into the word week, Old English, let's just get down to the point. It says probably originally with the sense of turning or succession, changing. Weekon, in course of. Old Norse velka, sea mile, originally change of or. Old English yield, give away. From pi root weak, to bend, wind. The vowel sound seems to have been uncertain. In Middle English, this isn't the same one I saw before, but you can see that it says probably originally with the sense of a turning or secession. So, you know, when you look at the moon is always turning and going into a succession, because you see the moon waxing and waning week by week. So that can be applied to this. All right. Now, the next scripture we're going to bring up is we're going to go to 1 Samuel chapter 20, and I believe it's 23. Verse 23, it says, "And as touching the matter which thou and I spoke of, behold, the Lord between thee and me forever." So David hid himself in the field, and when the new moon was come, the king said, it's talking about King Saul, the king set him down to eat meat, and the king sat upon his seat, as other times, upon even upon a seat by the wall. And Jonathan arose, and Abner sat by Saul's side, and David's place was empty. So David was out of there. 26, nevertheless, Saul spake not anything that day. Okay, so this was the new moon. And it says, for he thought something had befallen him. He is not clean. Surely he is not clean. And it came to pass on the morrow, which is the second day of the month. So that's how you know right there that the new moon is the first day of the month. Okay? It is the keeper of the time. It tells you how to keep the Sabbath days. Okay? The first day, you got the first day of the month, which is the new moon, and 7 days after that is the Sabbath. It's the first Sabbath. Okay, and that's how you keep those times. This is how you keep the feast days. This is how you keep the high holy days, by the moon. The moon is the keeper of time. Okay. So I'm going to read that again. It says, verse 27, and it came on the morrow, which was the second day of the month, that David's place was empty. And Saul said unto Jonathan his son, wherefore come not the son of Jesse to meet neither yesterday or today? So nor today. So he didn't come on the new moon, nor did he come on the second day, which was the day after. All right. So I hope this was a little bit insightful in this lesson, showing you the ordinances of the moon, and that those ordinances shall never depart from the Lord, or Israel will cease to be a people. So thus they will never depart. So with that, I pray this is an edifying lesson, giving all praise, glory, and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakar Kodash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles, great millstone. To next time, I can say shalom.